The NBA playoffs. Wow. Some good games. Some good games. I ain't going to lie. Like, finally, now that the playoffs have begun, nobody's going to be taking days of rest and all this crap. And it's so much. The NBA could be so much better when players actually play their games. Like I said, 70 to 75 games. Just that should be a goal. I mean, we're never going to get the 90s, the 80s, and the 90s out of these guys. But holy crap. See the difference when people play? I'd like to see somebody take a day of rest in the playoffs and see what happens. It ain't happening. It's too much on the line. And, like I'm watching the Cleveland, Miami highlights. The first two games were actually competitive in Cleveland. Well, they weren't, but they were like whatever. I mean, Cleveland kind of chilled at the end, and both scores were 121. One was 121-100, which was game one, and 121-112. That the optics looked like it was competitive, but it wasn't. Like Cleveland owned that series after game one. But the last two games that happened in Miami, 124-87. What? Are you kidding me? 138-83 in Miami? And I said it from the beginning, at the beginning of my podcast. And that's the play-in, when I did my play-in podcast edition. Miami needs a rebuild, a total rebuild. Everybody should be up for trade. There should be no exceptions, no protections. Pat Riley is a fantastic basketball mind as a coach and a GM. He's been around for a long time. Maybe it's time for him to close it off. These guys don't know. That generation doesn't know how to do it. But he's got to look at this team and say, yo, this team is not going to win. He had Jimmy Butler, pandemic Jimmy Butler, and then, of course, 2 years ago against Denver, he couldn't get it done. Jimmy Butler got his trade during the trade deadline. Come on, guys. It's a total rebuild. I mean, everybody, Hero, Bam Adebayo, everybody up for trade. Pat Riley's got to restart this thing again. There's no retool. There's no retooling. It's a rebuild. The last two scores in Miami tells you everything you need to know about what needs to happen to the team and what effort was put in, because most of those fans were paying fans, and they were fanboys and fangirls. They weren't real fans. They came to show up to cheer Miami, wave their pom-poms, all wearing white, social media photos, trying to show off. For that, anybody that posted a photo of those two games from Miami should be ashamed of themselves. They got their asses cooked in those two games in Miami. Classic beating. So Miami's out. They're done. Oh, man. I could talk about that series all through this podcast based on the fact that Cleveland has come up to tell the world we're here. And to also show us that this whole Miami thing, who finished off 37-45 this year, should actually think about rebuilding and stop playing around with the fans and stop lying to the fans. Pat Riley, come on, man. It's a wrap. Denver and LA, that's going to be a war. I'll talk about that series when that series is over. Boston, of course, getting rid of Orlando, 4-1 win. Detroit, my Knicks. Of course, all these things. The Lakers and Minnesota, that's going to be a battle. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is. It's going to be a battle. I just think that, there's a lot of give and takes in that situation. And, excuse me there. It's just one of those series where it's like, man, it's going to be a grind. I mean, the first game was 117-95 Timbs. Then the Lakers came up with their 94-85 win. In game two, Timberwolves 116-104 in game three. And then, of course, that close one on Sunday, 116-113. And, of course, game five in LA. It's going to be a grind. I think it'll go 6. Timberwolves in 6. It's going to be a grind. The experience, maybe I did. If you check, I probably did pick the Lakers, but Timberwolves are trying to find a way. And that's how you got it. This is sometimes, like I said, sometimes these are the series that you need to learn. Detroit is going to learn from this, whether they win or lose this series. Timberwolves are finally getting through that. This is a series they need. Miami, there's nothing to learn. They're done. It's over. Another series I want to focus on this playoff edition, NBA edition, part of the quick take edition, is gotta talk about this Golden State Houston series. And my biggest takeaway is experience and discipline and knowing when to do things at the right time. Draymond Green has shown us that. Draymond could be out of character sometimes, a little loose, a little crazy, a little off. But he is absolutely psychologically playing with these kids. Psychologically, he has them beat. He just needs to win those games on the court. They're one game away from winning that series. Draymond Green psychologically has already owned these guys. Jalen Green, he needs to grow up. Draymond absolutely is doing a fantastic job. He is doing a fantastic job. He doesn't need to score points. He just needs to be psychologically ready to take control of these guys' minds. And he has done that. Steph doing his thing. Kuminga doing his thing. Jimmy Butler, Miami's missing piece, doing his thing. And it's about youth and experience. Jimmy with the experience. Steph with experience. These kids have no experience. The only experience they have is Instagram and these Instagram girls and social media stuff. And their brand. Ime Udoka is going to have to figure out something. Whether he comes back and wins this series or during the offseason or next year, he needs to figure something out. Because these kids are not ready. You could tell they're not ready. Fred VanVleet's the only veteran on that team with championship experience, but I don't think it's registering. I think it's going in one ear and it's going way out the other ear in this series. Golden State's going to win this series. It's over for Houston. And I don't see anything happening for them in the future unless that attitude changes in that locker room. You got a bunch of kids who I watched, listen, it's not about they're not talented because they're more talented than Golden State. It's not just, it's the whole optics. You can look at a team and you're like, oh boy. That's it. And that's how I look at Houston. Like, I'm looking at Houston, I'm like, really, 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 really? Come on. They're missing a lot. And the only way for them to get that is maybe this is the series they need to lose. Sacramento had that lesson, I think it was 2 years ago, and they never learned from it. And they don't have these problems with these young players because they had Mike Brown, who's a fantastic coach. Ime Udoka, Houston, that's not a good mix. And also, before I forget, I remember mentioning Monty Williams as the coach of Detroit. No. I apologize. JB Bickerstaff, that's the guy. That's the guy who's had these wheels turning in Detroit. So shout out to them. But yeah, as going back to Houston, nah. Priorities are not intact on that team. You could tell. Just look at the optics. If you haven't paid attention to that, you're crazy. Houston ain't ready. Golden State is just taking their time. Literally taking their time. And saying, we're going to do what we want and that's it. What else can I say? So, that's what's happening in the NBA playoffs. If I missed anything, I'm going to definitely bring it up on the next edition of this playoff edition. Ladies and gentlemen, I am signing out. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, I'm out. Peace.